Hi, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. This is a collective support reading. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, so we're still in the liminal space. We're still in that in between. We're not quite where we were, and we're not quite yet where we're meant to be. Normally I start with the primary position, but I'm good. I gotta go straight to the unconscious because this is the loudest thing. So be mindful. I think this came up in a previous reading. Be mindful. Start tracking yourself where you have remaining disbelief in the system. In the unconscious, we have the breakthrough. So something is blocking a breakthrough. There's fear around taking a grand leap towards something or away from something, which could be the same thing. There may be fear around having enough courage to step into this next iteration of self, this next level of transformation. There is an energetic shift, and we have to honor the new information that's coming up. But in order to do that, we have to honor the end of a cycle. We have to actually detach and have a in my head, it's coming out as like a ceremonial consciousness closure ritual or something. I don't know what that is for you, but we have to do something to mark the occasion of something ending and leaving our lives in order to hold the vibration of readiness, of openness, open to change. Okay, that felt really dense. Let's get into what is here and what we are moving with. You know, it can be very difficult. I look at this path of consciousness, and I know this isn't the most lovely analogy, but it is oftentimes a battle. It's a battle. One of my mentors, James Finley, calls it, this path of mystical sobriety. I love that he calls it sobriety because he honors that we all have addictions of the heart and mind. Maybe our addictions aren't as obvious as like alcoholism or drug abuse or something like that, but we all have addictions of the heart and mind, things that we just can't let go of. So it might take space to... Sorry, I'm getting really tripped up with these messages. It's just a lot converging. We're being asked to take inventory of which wounds are still open and honor the wounds that have actually healed and closed. Because sometimes we get in the habit of repeating just our old patterns. And sometimes we handle ourselves with baby gloves when actually we've overcome a lot of those inner reasons why we needed that level of care at one point. This could take so many forms. Handling ourselves with baby gloves could look like avoiding going after that job that you really want, or avoiding having that conversation that you wanted, avoiding confrontation. It could look like a million different things, but the point is you've come further than you realize, and it's time to actually assess in real time where you're no longer, how far you've come. I feel like I just said this in another reading. Yeah, that we could actually rely on our root. We are actually grounded. We are actually laying appropriate foundations that are solid and that are in alignment with us, that are congruent with our souls. We're a hell yes to these things. We've done so much work to access this strength, to build this level of security. I mean, there's so many messages about foundations, and the divine masculines have been getting the building firm foundation, assessing foundation. What does foundation mean to us now? It just keeps coming up. Sometimes I don't even think doing these readings daily is even necessary when the messages come out, but it's also fun, right? We get like another little morsel every time. We're just kind of fine tuning it every day. There's also a very specific message about those of you who have been working hard at healing mother wounds. You've done it. You've put in the work. You've moved through it. There's a message here about honor and celebrate your fidelity to the path, that you have been so committed to asking just one more question and peeling back just one more layer to access truth. You have been such a truth initiate. You've been initiated to the vibration of truth, and then the way it comes into our system and flows out into our lives is that we become full body, I can't think of a better word, but like radars. Our radar for truth is so specific and pristine that we can't easily be fooled like we may have been previously. We have victory over this path. We just have to babysit what is going on in our mind. You are what you think. Be mindful of the thoughts that you are repeating, the thoughts that you wake up with, the thoughts you go to bed with. There's another message here about healing a specific spiritual soulmate relationship. I'm not really getting twin flame off of this narrative, but if there is a relationship that you have felt a spiritual connection to, this could be a karmic, this could be any sort of relationship that maybe you've had a strong attachment to that maybe has not been the easiest. You are having victory over that moment. You are calling your power back to self. You are understanding what that relationship was for. You extracted all of the data out of it. You've milked it to its heart's content. And now because you now have that understanding, you can release it. This came up yesterday. Your abilities, your clairsentience, any sort of your gifts are continuing to, they're being fine-tuned. Okay. Just another narrative around, or another note on the soulmate relationship. This could also be between you and your higher self. We have this inner conflict resolution card, and it's funny. I'm now, it's just, I have mother pinging in my head. So maybe there's been things that you have experienced with your mother, with a mother, with your role as a mother, or with any sort of mothering you've done in your life. There's some sort of peaceful awareness coming through the system. We are creating heaven on earth. It is actually trustworthy. We can actually believe that now. It is safe to come out of our caves and share our voice. We will not be persecuted for our beliefs. We can open up our throat chakra. It is safe to say yes. It is safe to say yes and make choices in alignment with our soul's higher calling. It is safe to allow ourselves to be cracked open. This is all happening for us, not to us. It is a gift. We are here to unpack this gift. My eyes went straight to that lotus flower, the enlightenment card. We are accessing truth from a bird's eye view. That's not a small thing. Let's just take a moment. We are accessing truth from a bird's eye view, and because of that perspective, we can now see beginning, middle, and end. We understand who we actually are. We understand where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. Because of this awareness, we're able to actually build our foundation now with the future in mind. We can have forward vision. We have access to this. Star being healing codes are flooding the planet. And again, we are remembering who we are. We have fulfilled soul contracts, and some of those are complete and can be released. Whew. Let's get some other cards. All right. What else does the collective need to know? Guidance. When you make divine intelligence your foundation, you finally have a fixed star to follow. Ooh. So I have this thing that I say with my consciousness friends. I say, and I notice there's a ship here, or a sailboat. I always say, we are sailing on this ocean of consciousness with no land in sight. And what that phrase did for me, and why I came up with it, was because it's really easy when you're stuck in a specific issue to start attaching to the finish line. And it's incredibly disheartening, and we can get hit with a lot of disillusionment when we realize there is no finish line. And so that kind of, my little phrase, we're sailing on this ocean of consciousness with no land in sight. It starts priming our systems to understand you might as well get comfortable, because, settle in for the long haul, because this journey has no ending. And so the sooner we can integrate that, the sooner we relieve the pressure on ourselves to get to some sort of outcome. When you make divine intelligence your foundation, you find you have a fixed star to follow. Okay, what else? And then we have individuality. Every person has their own personalized study plan in this Earth School. Amen. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a message coming through about sovereignty. Again, it's very easy on this path, because it's so polarizing and activating. It's really easy to seek outside of self for someone or something that resonates, for some sort of guidance, or someone, some sort of proof out in the world to know that I'm okay, I'm safe, this is normal, I'm not alone. It's really easy to get caught up in that cycle and pattern of reaching outside of self. But here's the thing. We all sign different soul contracts here, and no one knows what yours is. Only you and spirit, or the universe, or God, whatever. Only you and God knows what this is. And whatever it is going to determine your curriculum here in Earth School. No one can, no one registered for your classes. You did that. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, and on the bottom we have outrageous openness. Dear love, open me to your will. Release me from my attachments. Surprise and delight me with your plan. You know what's needed, and I am open to receive. It is not a, how do I say this? It is not a, okay, let me just say it. A newbie on this path is not able to surrender to the level of what this is talking about. To be able to completely and truly and safely, let me say that again, safely surrender to the divine, we have to be somewhat primed for that experience. It's very difficult to surrender, because if you surrender too early, and let me say it like this, if you surrender without access to your intuition, it's like jumping into the ocean without your life vest. I'm just letting that sit there, because that is very accurate. This is why we have mentors. This is why we have guides and other people to help us know when we are primed. Sometimes we can't access that information. Sometimes we need someone we look up to say, you're ready. It is time. I have given you all the answers you need. The rest of the answers you need, God will show you the way. I'm very drawn to this image of this pathway. It looks like an ancient temple, and it's it looks underground. And the tree of life is coming to mind, as above, so below. And for some of you, the Kabbalah tree of life may hold some importance here. It's really fascinating. Carolyn Myss does a lot of work. She identified the seven energy how do I say this? She identified the seven energy systems with the seven sacraments in the Catholic tradition, and then she pointed out other how this tree of life, how these energy centers show up in pretty much all of the major religions. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Maybe that's for someone. If someone has interest, you can look that up. But it is really interesting that all major religions have some sort of kind of way of entering this kind of interior castle and having almost like spiritual checkpoints. I'm thinking about checkpoints in a video game. You get to a certain place, you could, hit the save point. And at that point, you never have to go back and do all those levels again, right? That's an interesting way to think about this journey. Because it's true, once your eyes have been opened, it's impossible to go back to sleep unless there's some sort of, accident with your brain or something. It's almost impossible to go back to sleep once your eye singular have been awakened. And that's a really traumatizing experience. That's a dark night of the soul in it of itself. Right? Because now all of a sudden we're awakened to a new truth, and then we have to integrate and embody this truth. And then all of a sudden we are different human beings. And then we go back to our old lives and we are confronted with this intense concept that we may no longer fit in those lives. We may no longer fit in our relationship. We no longer may fit in the place we're living. These are not small things. This is not a small, weekend trip to enlightenment. This is like an axial moment of the life. The whole axis in which your world is spinning shifts, and we must shift with it. We must start living a life in alignment with this shift. Because what happens if we don't? What happens if we don't? It never fails. That's when we stifle this wellspring of life force that's bubbling from the depths up and out of us, it needs somewhere to go. And the more we repress that call, that desire, that, there's some really, really naturally creative people. And if those people, I was one of them. I was working a job. I had a career in nutrition for 15 years, and I felt like I was going to explode every day because I wasn't utilizing and investing my energetic currency in a way that was in alignment with my soul. And slowly but surely, I started losing different pieces of myself. My personality was changing because I wasn't able to express this. I was getting sick more often. I was having body issues, back pain, body aches. Yeah, I'm here to say this to someone, but I highly recommend learning about energy anatomy with Carolyn Myss. It really is wild how our biography, our narrative of our stories show up in our physiology. They show up in our biology. They literally can show up in our bodies. She developed that body of knowledge as her time as a medical intuitive. So she was someone that can just look at someone and say, okay, you have a mass in your throat. It is this. It is cancer. In order to heal this cancer, you have to have that conversation with your father that you've been putting off for 30 years. Like, she was a whiz. She was incredibly gifted. And so she used her gift to start documenting what she was finding so that she could basically create a textbook of how to map the body. It's very fascinating. Yeah, that was for someone. I was supposed to say that. Okay, anything else? Let's get a Buddha wisdom, because I always like these little guys. Anything else, Spirit? I just saw it. Where are you? There you are. As long as you have unwavering faith, you are a truth seeker. Yeah, my mentor, James Finley, he always says all we have to do is take one more step. The seeker is the one who's always willing to ask just one more question and live just one more day seeking truth. Thank you guys for being here. I hope this was supportive, and I will see you next time.